We'll talk about the schools Miriam went to. First, Miriam went to 79. Kindergarten, 79. I'd have to pick her up at 79 when she went to kindergarten. Then after redistricting the district, Miriam went to BS 33. So I had to take Miriam to BS 33 in the morning and occasionally pick her up in the afternoon when it was rainy and cold and the weather was bad. Then for 2 years I had a respite. Miriam went to EBB, Evelyn Barrett Browning Junior High School. Everything but boys. So Daddy Sal didn't go to school for 2 whole years. Then we went to Fieldston. And every morning we made the trek to Fieldston and back. So we went to kindergarten, grade school, junior high school, finally to college, to Brandeis. And Miriam finally graduated from Brandeis. Yes? Mm-hmm. With a Bachelor of Science degree? Some scientist.
And how long have you been a doctor here?
Since 1932. 39 years. If I'll survive till next June, it'll be 40. It's a long time.
And you've done what?
Done what? I've done everybody I can. I've been on the street since 1936.
Well, how about telling me the story of your life?
I got...
About why you grew up in Denver and why you came here?
Very interesting background. Your grandfather, they were married in Boston, and he was a barber. He developed pneumonia, and he became desperately sick, almost died. I'm sure he had some bronchiectasis and a little emphysema, but mostly bronchiectasis. This was before the days of the X-ray, and anybody who had a cough, you sent them out to Denver. He was a young man at that time. I don't know how old he was, maybe about 30. He only lived to 86 or 87 years old.
I know the cough was pretty bad.
The cough was pretty bad. He was busy organizing the Jewish Consumptive Relief Society. And I can still remember it, and the toilets were out in the back. We had gas, but no electricity. And I can still distinctly remember they used to drive cattle through the streets of Denver, maybe 4 or 5 head at a time, or 6 or 8 head at a time, with 1 or 2 cowpokes herding them along. Then in 1929, during my first year at medical school, they really came east and remained in New York.
And that's why you came here?
I was going to make up my mind once and for all whether I was going to practice in Denver, or else I would forever kick myself around the room if I didn't do well that I had not started in Denver. So I drove back with him and looked around, and conditions were not good. It was the depth of the Depression. And I decided that New York offered much more opportunity, although Denver was a much more beautiful place to live. And I closed the door, and that was it.
But it's so funny. Whenever I never know what I'm doing, I always think that you always knew what you were doing. You always, that you knew you were going to be a doctor, or that you knew you would be in New York.
At the age of 21, I knew it. At the age of 20, I knew what I was going to do. You see? After all, I was 24 years old when I graduated from medical school. It's 40 years, my 40th reunion of my class this year. I was exactly 24 years old, so I was much younger. I was 20 years old when I entered medical school. I had made up my mind 2 or 3 years before. So at the age of 18, I knew where I was going. You see? I wasn't 28 years old.
I'm not 28 years old.
I am leaving you out of this. This is what I've learned over the years. To learn how to handle people, to learn how to direct them, to explain it to them for their own good and for their own benefit. This is the most difficult thing. This is where a physician, especially a family physician, comes in. And the average patient, no matter how much he loves the great big scientific center, he still likes somebody to pat him on the back and say, Joe, hello, how are you? How's your mom? How's your pop? How's the kids? How's the green apple tree growing? This is very important to him because it gives him something to hold on to. When he's laying in the hospital room and he's just a number and they throw a tray at him and the intern walks in or a resident walks in, are you Mr. Jones when the name happens to be Smith? This makes him feel very, 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 very bad. Beginning to doubt, well, maybe they give me the wrong diagnosis. Maybe I'm getting the wrong pills. Maybe I'm getting the wrong treatment. A friendly face or a pat on the arm is an important thing. There's something friendly that he can hold on to. This is what the personal thing in medicine is. But we are getting automated in medicine. So we have 21 different blood chemistries on an individual. But if nobody's going to read it the chart or interpret it to the doctor or to the patient, it's just a gimmick. It's just a gimmick. You see. This is what brings us onto the subject of retirement. For two reasons. First place, it is good for me because after working for 40 years and doing this type of thing for 40 years, I can't see myself sitting on a park bench and practicing medicine from a park bench. I can't see myself on the working end of a fishing pole because that becomes pretty boring to me after a while, or chasing a little golf ball around a golf course. The other hand, I feel, even in my small way, if I'm not contributing to great changes in science, I contribute to welfare of people. A woman in here yesterday who hiked herself all the way in from Queens because she wants to see me. In a very bad mood.
Why?
They just announced that they're going to discontinue compulsory vaccination. I think it's a pretty terrible thing.
Why?
Some jerko got an idea that there are more people dying from the meningitis than they are from smallpox. So after, I don't know, maybe a half a century of compulsory vaccination, the legislature last week signed a bill. No more compulsory vaccination. So right away everybody gets on the bandwagon, and the health department is going to stop all vaccination as a routine procedure.
Really?
This is a ridiculous
And now people are
measure.
going to get smallpox?
Well, look what happened in Yugoslavia last month. You don't read the papers, of course. You don't know what's going on in the world. They never had smallpox for 20, 25 years. All of a sudden, they got 48 cases, 150 cases, 14 deaths. We sent 6 million units of smallpox vaccine with a team. Imagine vaccinating 200 million people in this country all at one time. I lived through the 1947 scare. You were how old then?
1 year.
1 year.
How come you decided to be a doctor in the first place?
You really wanted to know?
Yes.
When I went to college, we had a professor of physiology, of chemistry, by the name of Gustafson, who was very much interested in medicine, although he himself was not a physician. He was a very dynamic teacher and a very marvelous teacher.
When you went to college, what did you think you were going to be?
A lawyer. I took public speaking, I think, for a term. I had no idea what the practice of medicine was like or what it entailed.
So you never thought you'd become a doctor like this, like you are?
Oh, no. That's for sure.
Was it hard when you were getting started, when you were young and people didn't know you?
Hard is not the word. It was impossible. Because first place, you're young, you're inexperienced, both in medicine and the handling of people. Excuse me. Two aspirin, baby aspirin before. Dr. Weinstein. Yes, my friend. Yes, sir. It's till 1:30. What's the matter? They just stick into the thing.
How do you feel about my being a filmmaker? Are you surprised that I am?
You really want to know?
Yeah.
I thought you had greater potential among other lines, you know, because I think you were a brain. So, in that sense, a little bit disappointed.
So what would that have been if I had been a brain?
I thought you would be along some other type of endeavor, you know. But as long as you feel fulfilled and that you're creative, I couldn't see you lugging a camera and being a cameraman, but I think in the sense that you serve this purpose, I think it's for you it is. I mean, that's all I can say.
What did you expect for us?
I expected nothing. I thought that you were good in anything that you took. In fact, the only thing is you lacked the motivation. If you'd have found somebody along there, like I found somebody that motivated me, somebody who'd have been along the line that had motivated you, you could have been anything you want. I could have been a second-rate or third-rate lawyer, probably, because in my adolescent dreamings, this is what I thought I would want to be.
Do you have anything else to say about what you expected about me, or how my life has been different than yours?
Well, it's entirely different in that I was first generation of immigrant parents. You are second generation in this country. My parents were just interested that I go to college and become an educated individual, preferably with a profession. I wanted to give you the benefits of the best education that I could give you, which I did. I never brought pressure to bear that you should. I mean, this is your own feelings and own prerogatives. But if you're happy doing this type of work, well, this is your work. I mean...
But I thought that because we were girls, we were never expected to understand science or things like that.
Why not?
That's the feeling I got.
Why?
We never did well in science or math. And
you did well in math. Where'd you get the idea you didn't do well in math? You did very well in math. You did very well in science. You did very well in every subject you took. Language, history, math, science. You didn't think you did well, but you did well. You did very well in every subject that you ever took. I don't think medicine is a great career for women, because I think it's a waste of education very often, although there are very few good practicing women physicians. And I mean that carry on a busy, active practice. Most of them are on the fringes of medicine, so-called. So that's why I never pushed you into medicine, did I?
No.
Never suggested that you did. But I felt there were other scientific endeavors which you could
If I had been a boy, would you have wanted me a doctor?
I would have liked. I wouldn't have pressured him. Oh, there are other careers. There are other careers that medicine isn't the whole thing in the world. There are many other careers that are open in this world today. You want some of the intern anecdotes? I graduated at the depth of depression, 1932, when FDR was running and he was elected that November. That November, all the banks were closed in this country. 30% of the people were unemployed. It was devastating. This is the year I graduated. This was the year I started my internship. Oh, and there was always a cop, the Jersey City cop road ambulance with us. One very funny thing. This woman had a fractured arm, and it was our duty just to transfer her to the hospital. There was no medical involved. She was just using it as a conveyance. And she was standing, a Jewish woman was standing in saying goodbye to her daughters and all the neighbors, and we were trying to hurry her up because we had other calls to make. And she turns to her neighbors and talks in very good Yiddish. She said, "These Irish chazerim zolei zahaget da." In translation, "These Irish pigs, should they drop dead?" So I responded in my best Yiddish. I says, "Lady," I says, "Ich may sein a Irish chazer, but please, geht a bissl schneller." Translation. I may be an Irish pig, but please, go a little faster.